today with Alice Walker here in Jacksonville. Written a number of novels, the latest of which recently won the American Book Award is In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, prose. We're with us today. Review. When I was living in Texas, Neale Hurston's, and his magazines found a piece about Zora and your feelings, about her. And I wrote because it moved me so much, let her back, and bringing Zora back into print enough to find out about all your other have grown to, and I'm very pleased to have you here today. When I first read that piece, was at the point where you're outgrown, overgrown, and you're trying to call Zora, tell her, where are you? To answer you. The book, all people to come to you. And any place in this book?
Oh, I think so. But sure, partly my aunts, who domestics up north in the South, and they cleaned anybody else's. They needed somebody to clean theirs. And they dressed and vibrant, great perfumes, And it's still astonishing. My aunts worked for other people. Such a magical life of their summers and sometimes visits.
Mm-hmm. Zora's book, Their Eyes, The Color Purple Folk Dialect. Yes. Yeah. I've read a lot of white about this and astonished by and seem to find something innovative. Do white critics tend to creations when really jazz a brilliant themes?
Well, but writing the way my parents and have a right to do that, and I don't innovative. My parents spoke. This is the way my mother's, and especially for my daughter, kind of upbringing for mine, Georgia very often, and who doesn't know when she grows up, and what her great-grandparents, because the sound is the language is so beautiful. One of its beauties is said what they had to say. They didn't take all day. They said this, that, and this, and I like that. That's partly why the novel. I wanted to directness.
The novel starts with heartbreak and goes on from Celie having her baby, and it sort of reminds Copeland of she dealt. Mm-hmm. Critics are talking now kind of trilogy in terms of I think growth of men and women understanding at the end. Do you ever think of just there's only three of them and you'll?
No, I don't think. I'm always trying to give people in that specific kind of the sort of common knowledge of, and therefore we're in community with. I don't fully, because I think I think people in many ways to have to critical way. I think you miss so to sort of shape it to the way that you're prepared to see.
Yeah, I always be analyzing now. Why did I?
Yes. Instead of just having tears are great for you. My tears are great because I don't suffering and stuff, but part of it you accumulate toxins, physiological thing. So
I know you felt some sort of a media's dark, or sought that. It's all sort of by accident after writing in 20 years. A few years ago, Toni Morrison. Do you think the public picks one writer or one black to pay attention to, neglects the rest?
So first of all, I don't really think. I do very, very little.
But they do.
It's hard for them to do it to me if I stay in my. But it's true. Lower it down. There's the intrusion that with a book like The Color. Can you imagine the media actually do much with The Color Purple? I think that what happened was surprise of its being Pulitzer Prize winner. People noticed it. They would not have noticed it, particularly had it not won the prize. Still rather astonished. It's not the kind of book I would have thought. Except a very, very a prize to.
He said once that he has to waste technical skill on. I think that sounds really good. The kind of thing always terrifies me. Aside if the theme is traditionally that the world has decided that and that women's interests are changing any, and if so,
well, really think people or fictions often think the sort of run-of-the-mill. I think that I've, over the last 20 years, a community activists, and that is that feminist age, in a sense, to talk to each other. Done it largely not using the white male politicalist.
Well, as you know, I'm the managing editor of Women's Art. There's from women, I'm so happy my work. It's been turned down by a person who said, in what happens in the bedroom, and I think those areas of interest are still and I think it's still important trying to do this.
Well, we take. I think that's where we all, if we don't take else, but then if we can do whatever we like, there, we can write us to be serious.
Our Mother's Gardens at one everything that just because way in the past doesn't mean we do have the power to change.
Yes, because if gone on in the past, we will not have simply. So we have to dead.
Some critics, I think, have seen work in the past as being sometimes bitter, pessimist. I don't see that personally when the men and women meet each other in the end. That especially simple, although, things that happen and that happen, people and their mask, Mr. becomes people have misrecognized the tremendous optimism.
Some people don't like optimism, and for those, what can I do? The people who are mystic will just be that way, being an optimist, extremely pessimistic. We have hope unless we together and really, and overcome. We can just sit and crawl into little holes.
That's right.
So when I write, I don't worry too much. Because I won't. That I don't understand. And I always feel that they have a, just as I have my vision of reality.
The poet is a feminist, the writer, but time to figure out that hard because of a poem. That the main purpose is to because Apollo. You must, and it seems to me that real changes have happened. You said brothers had acknowledged before. Lives changing.
Just my personal life. I think that it's absolutely necessary to do that. I mean, to heal ourselves, to help other people heal them. Otherwise, what is a wall or to be a distant object that has no function?
Well, this and sort of other traditions of, let's say, somewhat still utilitarian and being part of our everyday lives than the way purely decorative today.
American too. I mean, there are some wonderful American cultures. When someone is hurt very deeply spiritually, is that suddenly if she makes baskets, start to take out her basket, start making a basket, even more beautiful, even more because out of her instill more into it. Just the basket, she's wet.
That's a wonderful story. Daughter race. That I see in fiction, and that's the role has. Any changes in this? Are there writers that that are dealing with the way?
Well, I think The Color Purple, what happens just becomes, family. I mean, what she always has been. Because out of black culture, is that black people come in. I think that we have emphasizing that and seeing that it is divisive. No, and people who have been very light. If that's fine, but it means then, and they are just one that has separated itself, which means that because they are.
Audience with us today. Some questions from the studio. Would anybody like to be first? All right, yeah.
You grew up in a big family. Did you feel that you were different when you were growing up?
Different. And I needed more space. And it was okay. We're quite happy for me to be, I continue to be so. Yeah.
And so you own spaces and...
Oh, yeah. And I don't know, I sometimes thought, for instance, I thought was just totally different. Deep down, we like the same things. I mean, we cook and, the out of doors, he's a kind of person. Value, too. So I thought that, my...
Well, we have children, too. Our parents' voices come and go, where did that...
Mama. Yes.
Someone else have a question?
I got to know your search of Zora Neale Hurston very much for. I'd like upon the complete and the works that you found.
The completion of my book? The novel?
I Love Myself.
Oh.
You found her.
Well, no. I felt where I found her, without a marker and overrun with weeds. And it was one of the times for us as a human species, much better than that. On the other hand, I felt really happy and able to go there and to whatever I found and to have to help them get back. And I loved doing. It was a great. It was like
Question?
I have trouble with your public different the experience of your protagonist experience.
I don't think so. I feel we are all so much anyways. I was just reading who believes that the human's a single organism. And she says that because sometimes she will have a thought and at the same part of the world that same time, and that So she never says, she says there's an idea. Or to think of it in the work of Howard Thurman, a great theologian, and he deeply enough in yourself that you will come up in some way.
Another question?
Jacksonville, and I have read you. It's really fascinating. As a child, I met Zora Neale Hurston, guest of my mother's sorority and first at that time, and I didn't know at the time you would become someone we would all be talking. I read in one of the reviews recently that you visited Eden as yourself as her niece. Okay, all right. And by doing this, find anything you well enough to give you for. And also, I would wonder if you were with that of Zora Neale Hurston.
Well, first of all, I met who appeared in one of her books. Mosley had just gotten out of the hospital to see us, and we were great. But you know, before to have some sense of what was in Edenville, an elderly doctor and doctor about her disguise. You know, short of funds, I was of actually finding out, and so I don't know if I would do that. Do it. Oh, I think about the writing throughout, in a way, much in mine. You know, I have to grow into being an optimist, and I think that's amazing. You know. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Purple were such a marvelous boss, and it emerges and flows. Did you originally weigh, or was it just a fortuitous reach?
In writing The Color Purple, the struggle was really in trying to get out of New York so that I could have space, and but it was more of and over a period of many months, trying to clear my channel through the characters could get the seemed best. It's best on a number of local. We were how she said, you know, selling her children from her, and how out with a mother's grief. Well, that in a way is a cursor of. I mean, I can imagine Sojourner Truth. What can I do? Celie is saying, "Dear God, this I have to tell somebody," and so I write.
Question. My favorite book by you was I could think of would fit that way.
Yeah, well, that's great. She is real, you know, but the person that I knew, she is it, and her function helped us relate to a period of history that was of our country.
One last thing, the ending of that seemed to be very symbolic. Put my finger on an explanation of where the man takes over.
Well, she passes on her role, and I think it's all struggling. We're all struggling. And as you know that in coming up for communion, you know, as remember that? Well, as you grow beyond, move on to the next thing, to where you were, then what they go on.
I think.
Oh, thank you.
Let me ask you one last question. Of people who love you very much, letters, who want you to teach, people who want you to make. How do you handle this, and how do you keep life in your own work?
No, an awful lot. Said yes, I give people lots of time necessary, otherwise I wouldn't be. I really do, you know, I know, and it really.
Do you have a new project work?
Well, I just finished Horses Make a Landscape, a quote from a Native American holy person whose name, and I'm also The Color Purple, which moments of worry and concern.
Have they cast it long away? Anxiously awaiting that. And, you know, is it a novel or a collection of poems? Mm-hmm. Well, we want to thank you. This has been FJ, and we've been with us today. If you help, everyone will go out and buy it. And also, in search of womanist prose in the Jacksonville area tonight reading. Thank you.